All right. Thank you very much. Well, good afternoon and welcome to everyone to the Monday, April 11th, 2022 meeting of the Parks Commission. I'll call the meeting to order. It is 5:02 and we have a quorum present. The first thing on the agenda before we approve the minutes, we've got several sets of minutes to approve, is citizen communications. I have one card from one person who would like to speak. If anyone else would like to speak, we can certainly have anyone else up who would like to. Ms. Vatter, would you like to come up and address the commission? How are you today?
I'm just fine, sir. How are
Good.
you?
Fine, thank you for coming.
Thank you. My name is Shirley Vatter. I'm with the VFW Post Auxiliary. I'm the president. Izzy Drain, when I saw the article in the newspaper about the dog park, I thought it was a great idea. I didn't realize at that time that her grandfather, Russell Drain, who is here this evening, was a life member of the VFW Post. We got behind Izzy and her project, and between the Post and the auxiliary, we donated $1,000 towards this project. We felt so strongly about what she was doing. We would like to see it go through and to be finished, and we would request that it be named in her memory. She worked so hard on it. It was such a passion for her. I had the privilege of meeting her in October and watching her as she went around the post hall at the auxiliary bazaar, introducing herself, talking to people about what she was doing. We would like to see it finished and named in her memory. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. And I know that I speak for everybody up here in, first of all, acknowledging and letting you know our condolences for Izzy's untimely loss. That was a shock to all of us, as I know it was to everyone who knew her. And also to just say that you highlighted it exactly right. They're an uncommon person who did all that work. And so we're going to talk about the dog park tonight. So good night for you to be here and we'll have a little bit of a discussion about that on the agenda a little bit later. So does anyone else wish to address the commission for any reason? We've got time and a microphone. Yes, sir, if you wouldn't mind, because it's being recorded and all, if you just tell us your name and your address and then.
My name is Alexander Drain. I'm the father of Izzy Drain.
So nice to have you.
Thank you. What else did you need from me?
It's fine.
That's all?
That's
Okay.
all we need.
Very good. All right, just wanted to give you an update on our part. We've been doing the brick fundraiser. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay, very good. We have been doing the brick fundraiser, and at this point, we've raised a little over $12,000 from that fundraiser. And we are just getting prepared for, I guess, her portion that she was wanting to do with the agility course, the benches, the cleanup stations, and what have you. So we also, with those bricks, I know we had talked with her advisor that she was utilizing while she was working on her gold project. And we were considering the possibility of, instead of doing a walkway, using those bricks almost like a memory wall instead. That way, Parks and Recreation would have less upkeep to do with the bricks. So as a option to consider.
Well, thank you very much. Again, we are so, so sorry for your loss and our loss. We're all sorry for that.
Thank
Can
you.
I add something to it?
Absolutely.
Yes, as a commissioners here, when she made her presentation, all of us were very impressed with such a young lady to make such a great presentation as to her project and what she was going to do for the dog park. And it left us, left me very like, wow, for a young girl to speak that way and present herself was beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. All right, thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. All right. We'll move on down the agenda and take a look at our minutes. Stephen's here. I've marked you down. Good to see you, Stephen. How are you? Good. So we have minutes from the workshop that we had last month, and we've also got minutes from the December 13th, 2021 meeting, which, since we didn't meet in January, we didn't approve those minutes. They're attached to your packet, or they were sent out earlier. If anyone has a motion on the, to accept the minutes from the workshop, I'll hear that.
Motion to accept is presented.
A second.
Motion and second to accept the minutes of the workshop meeting on March 19th as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, those are accepted. Minutes from the December 13th, 2021 meeting.
Motion to accept the minutes from December 13 meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, those are all taken care of. That brings us to other business on the agenda this afternoon, and that is to discuss the dog park. So, Jason?
Good evening, Commissioners.
Evening.
Thank you all for being in attendance as well. So, you know, the dog park is starting to move forward with design. I know probably about 3 weeks ago or so during our commission workshop, we were able to present you with the design. Some of that, we were able to receive feedback from the Girl Scout troop themselves, as well as city manager's office and our city staff, and of course the comments that you were able to make as well during the workshop. So we ended up gathering all of those comments, and we have a second draft. We just got this draft earlier this morning from the consulting group, Luck Design. And so we have a draft 2, if you will, that's presented in front of you, or it's on the screen. I can zoom in a little bit if you would like, but a lot of the things that we were able to include from the comments were some additional lighting. So we have lighting that's proposed about every 200 or so feet around the entire trail itself. Let me zoom in just a little bit.
That's much easier to see.
Much better, yeah, that's good.
And to give you an idea, not a whole lot changed on the design itself. For the most part, the design stayed the same. We did have a trail system that is incorporated within both sides of the park, so both small and large dog areas have that. It's, again, very hard to see, but I'll send this out to you so you've got it at least in a PDF format and you can look at it in your leisure. But we do have some trash receptacles and some benches. Some of the, I guess, bigger changes were to the maintenance area. So we extended the maintenance areas to be on both ends as far as the access. So that way there's not any issues when it comes to the parking and any, customers that may be there or, citizens at the dog park itself. So the maintenance areas are on the ends. We still have space for about 30 cars to be situated there at the dog park, in addition to all the additional parking that's off-site of the dog park itself. Again, the large dog area, again, it didn't reduce at all. It's about a little over 2 acres, with the small dog area being about 1.6 acres. Pretty much all the changes that we had, again, really just adding some lighting to it, adding a few more receptacles. The pathway does say concrete. pathway. When I was talking with the consultant today, I said, hey, is that a typo? And he said, not at the moment. He said, at the moment, that's what he has in there is concrete, but we have looked at crushed granite as well as a rubberized trail to be a little bit more giving, if you will, during the floods. And so one of his concerns with that rubberized trail was just if it would be able to hold up to the dog paws and claws. And so he's going to be looking into that as well. Again, with all the projects that we have moving forward in the department, we are making sure that we incorporate lighting and make sure that we have adequate parking to kind of hit on that security issue with the Parks and Rec master plan identified.
Jason, I know we had talked in the workshop about some type of potential water feature or anything in there.
Yes.
Was that something that the consultant addressed? Or I see that there's an enclosed hose bib at the top along the outside of the trail. But anything beyond that?
Yes, what he's looking at right now is the water line, trying to figure out where exactly would be a good spot for it as far as drainage as well. And I think that's the one piece that we are lacking from those comments.
Jason, there was some discussion at the workshop about the entrance and the vestibule, and I don't remember exactly what all those issues were, but it seems like one of the things we talked about was some sort of a change to the original plan for that, or maybe not.
We did in the meeting, we had talked about, we moved the wash station, I believe, on the inside, and there was conversation about bringing it back to the outside, which you can see has been moved to the exterior of the fence in this one. There was some conversations about the trash receptacles as well, being on the outside versus on the inside, and they're on the outside on this one. I know there were some comments made from internal staff about some extra fencing, like a cool down area, but after talking with the consultant, we decided not to go that route. Just the chain link fencing, additional maintenance that would incur with some of those in addition to the costs associated with it.
In that surface area between the parking and the fence, I guess, would just be turf grass? Is that what?
All of the gray area would be concrete.
Well, no, between the concrete would just be.
Yes, sir. Anything that would be out left besides the concrete would be turf or natural vegetation.
Have you seen the new Texan dog park? Have you seen that one off of 183?
I have not made it out there. I need to make it out that way.
They just put one out there, and that's pretty neat. I mean, it's small, but I mean, it's nice.
Right.
Every time I drive by, there's people out there.
Yes, it's cool. I went and took pictures the other day because I was like, wow, this is neat.
The one out on 185?
Oh, what is that?
Yeah, Bloomington Highway?
Yeah. I passed the billboard and I've seen what is it? Ethanol-free gas in a dog park. It says on the billboard. And I didn't know what.
It's neat. I mean, it's nice.
How large is it?
Half an acre?
Yeah, like,
Okay.
it's a good spot for people to pull over and, stretch their legs and let their animals do it too. So
Yeah.
it's nice.
Okay.
Well, one thing that I do want to note, and I'm glad that we do have an audience here. Let me scroll down real quick. So after I met with everybody and we gathered all the comments, obviously touched base with our consultant and talked with him about some of the ideas that the Girl Scout troop had. One that Mr. Drain mentioned, moving, from an actual walkway to a wall itself, and just the ease of the maintenance, et cetera. And one of the things that the consultant said, he said, well, yeah, I like that idea. He said, let me check around, let me get some other ideas too, and see what else we can come up with as far as options. So one of the options here that he added was a doggy tile art, and it was what his thought behind it was, hey, if we're able to get some of the dog owners to come and help, if you will, paint the tile, there's another piece of it that would, that they would feel a part of, right? A part of the dog park. What we had talked about potentially is with those dog pavers is, well, what do we do with the dog pavers? Would you still have a wall or would you not? we could do either or. We could still have the wall, or another thought was if we went with a tile, the pavers would still be engraved, because I know that's something that Izzy had originally, that was her original thought. But to actually just give those pavers to the individuals who had purchased them, right, as more of a memorabilia, if you will, and knowing that their name would be tied in with this tile somewhere in there to recognize them as a donor as well. So just options out there. Just wanted to throw that out there to you. We just didn't want to be stuck with one specific thing. We wanted to make sure that we had options for the commission to kind of weigh in on. So again, just pure conversation that we had with the consultant, and that was just an example that he wanted to show at the bottom right-hand side.
Jason, is there a way to get kind of an inside view of the entryway archway, like a rendering of that from the consultant, so we can kind of see? I mean, I know we can see a two-dimensional aerial picture of it there, but I see that entry arch example. Is that going to be similar to what it looks like?
It would be something similar. I don't think it would be to that scale, that large. But the idea is to, yes, have a large archway that would basically draw your eye to the entrance of the dog park, and then utilizing that space in this slide right here. And then really utilizing that archway and pushing back towards the inside of the dog park to act as that shade canopy, which would then also be a rentable area, if you will, as a pavilion.
Okay.
But yes, I can talk with a consultant and see if they can give us a basic rendering of what that may look like on ground level.
Thinking that might make it easier to decide how to properly put those tiles or pavers or whatever it
Sure.
ends up to be.
Absolutely. But any questions or comments on the dog park update version 2, if you will?
Looks good to me. I think it's coming along.
And just for everybody's benefit, we do, as a reminder, we do have $500,000 that's allocated from the Victoria Sales Tax Development Corporation specifically for this project. After we finalize the design, we'll send this back over to the consultant. He will update the construction documents and give us a construction estimate for this, the way that we have approved it. So that should take about a week or so, and then we'll have an idea of what the cost will truly be from his perspective. Never know until you open the bids, right?
Right.
Jason, remind us, what's your timeline again for construction?
Yeah, so construction on this is about 6 months. We're probably about 2 to 3 weeks on a delay with this part of it. So our hope is that we have the design wrapped up here within the next week or two, and then construction documents and to follow. So the goal is to have this construction start in June or July. So hopefully we'll be able to have this wrapped up by the end of this year, calendar year.
Well, that's fantastic news, and it's going to be something really special for the community.
Absolutely. Yeah, we look forward to it and continuing to work with the Drain family and the Girl Scout troops as well. They're a vital piece to this and had a lot of good input. So we want to make sure that we're able to capture as much as we can from them and also memorialize Izzy to the best of our abilities. So, and again, that would be a further conversation with you as a commission and how you would like to memorialize Izzy in regards to the dog park.
Should we put that on a future agenda for making a recommendation? I mean, I'm assuming what we could do as a commission is make a recommendation to council. I don't think we get to do it ourselves, but I think we could make a recommendation to council, and I know that that's been kicked, or we've discussed that to some degree. And so, do you want to go ahead and put that on the agenda for next month and take that up?
Absolutely. Just for clarification, would you like just to discuss the items that you may be able to, or how you'd like to memorialize Izzy? And then that following meeting, we can have an actual resolution that would be specific to whatever your recommendation is during next month?
Absolutely. I think that'd be fine.
Yeah, I have a question too.
So what is, sorry, go ahead.
Okay, since we discussed it at the workshop, I mean, do we have to put it in a future agenda? Can we vote on that today to have it honored in, or like,
I don't think I think we have to have an agenda item posted to do
Okay.
that, to take that action. So at a minimum, we'd have to post it for
and then can we ask them how, do they want it to be Izzy's Dog Park, or what exactly they want it to be called?
That was my question. What is the protocol for making a recommendation on the naming of the park?
So that's where we would bring a resolution to the commission, and the commission would then approve or vote on that resolution, and then we would then take that to city council, saying that we have a resolution from the Parks and Recreation Commission in support of XYZ.
Okay, and do you have a recommendation from the family and others of what they would like the park to be named? Because when Izzy was here, she wanted it named after her dog, I believe.
I mean, I don't have specifics, but, I'm sorry?
Ms. Vatter's comment said Riverside Bark.
Say Bark.
Right. Yes, sir.
Just have a simple comment. Izzy's Dog Park.
Izzy's Dog Park. So
So,
it sounds like we haven't had a meeting on that to discuss
know.
it fully,
Right.
but it sounds like just impromptu. It would be
Okay.
Izzy's Dog Park. But again, that is something, if you want it to be more formalized, if there are certain items in addition to just the naming, as, you know, if there is anything else that you would like to add to it, if
Right.
there's, I'm just saying, I mean, there's so many different amenities there. There's a slew of things that we could memorialize her with at the dog park. So
so next month, why don't you bring us kind of a menu of those type of
Sure.
things, including
absolutely.
the name. We can do the agenda in such a way that if we feel like we want to go ahead and take action on some of those things next week, we can, but we can discuss them and take action, or we can discuss them and defer until, if we have some other questions we still need to get answered. So that way we'd be flexible to be able to do it either way, but we could go as early as next month.
Yeah, and we don't want to put y'all on the spot tonight to try to think up the name.
So yeah, Jason, if you could bring us back some names and then some recommendations on the naming and then on any amenities.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then,
I would feel more comfortable with that. I appreciate it, because I believe we're trying to set up a meeting as well with the Drain family so we can kind of, pick up where we left off and have those conversations. So I'll have a better idea of those kinds of recommendations to be able to provide to you as a commission. Absolutely. So we'll have that set for the May meeting and then a resolution in June. Is that correct?
Well, we can, if we can just, why don't you set it up for, to discuss and allow us to take action next month if we decide to, but if we want to defer for an additional month to take action, we can do that too.
also, I'm going to ask that, I know that the agility part of it was near and dear to Izzy's heart, so if you could bring us recommendations on that. I know that they've raised some money toward that, so what does that look like, and what's the funding for that with private-public partnership and the design of all of that? Let's go ahead and
Okay.
include that as one of the amenity recommendations so we know what we're talking about.
Okay.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Is it on Parks and Rec where they can buy a break, or can we affiliate that somehow? Since it's gonna be going towards the dog park, like where they can buy a break from them, but they can get it from Parks and Rec, or have an order form or something like that?
Yes, I mean, we can look at sharing on social media. I think Izzy had set everything up through a particular account. I think it was some. Okay. Yeah, so we can definitely cross-promote that. It's just a matter of making sure that we get that right link and promote it as well. But yeah, absolutely, we
I'll
can
do
definitely
that
do that.
too. Okay.
Okay, perfect. There's also, just since we're talking about this and seems the right time, there's also a large, I don't know what to call it. It's a big, huge 4x4 concrete post
Obelisk.
that's.
Obelisk, right. Saw that on there.
What he said.
Obelisk.
I thought it was for the zip line at first. But I got all excited. But anyway, but we are looking at continuing to or keeping that in place. One of the conversations that we had with the Girl Scout troop was that they wanted to do something with that piece of concrete to memorialize Izzy as well. So just so you're aware that will stay, and it is shown in this design as well. Perfect. Well, I will definitely bring something back to you in May. I'll have some options for you, and we'll definitely put on the agenda, discuss and take action next
Okay.
month.
Great.
Yes, sir.
Anybody else have anything, any from the commission?
I'm glad to see it's moving along so quickly. It's like getting some traction.
Yes, sir. Me too.
We're going to be dog parking it pretty soon. Well, thanks, Jason. I appreciate that. And
sir. Thank you.
thanks to all of you all for participating and coming tonight and sharing your thoughts with us. We look forward to getting this project done and getting it done for the community and for you all and for Izzy. So. Okay, we're going to recap the commission workshop. And I guess as a prelude to that, I'd just like to thank everybody for agreeing to take a Saturday off and meet to kind of go over all this stuff. It turned into kind of a wild and woolly meeting and went on. We could have gone on all day, I'm afraid. If, But I think it was productive, and I guess Jason's going to tell us if it was or not. And he's going to tell everybody in town how productive it was. But thank you all for participating. We had great participation, and I think I think we got done what we intended to get done. So anyway, take it away, Jason.
Yes, no, thank you. I appreciate it. My comments the same. I echo those. Thank y'all for participating. I thought it was fun. I don't know about y'all, but I know our staff had a good time. I hope y'all had a good time. We were missing George, unfortunately. You know, he wasn't with us, but nonetheless, I think we got a lot of work accomplished. And thank y'all for bearing with me when we went through the 5 chapters in like 15 to 20 minutes or whatever it seemed like. So we were speed reading those the master plan. So thank y'all. What I wanted to do is I just simply wanted to recapture some of the comments that were made, at the commission, as well as make sure that we have those top 5 priorities, because what we would like to do is make sure that those just don't, sit on a bookshelf, if you will, and collect dust. We want to present, updated information to you each quarter. I think we had talked briefly about that at the commission meeting, and how can we continue to stay up on top of these things. And so I just wanted to run these things by you really quickly and make sure that we were all on the same page before we start really diving into these top priorities for you. So I don't know, Kimberly's group looked kind of like this. My group didn't look like this, but there were sticky notes everywhere. I'm just teasing. But I think what was really interesting was that we, as a commission and even as a department, we had gone through the Parks and Recreation Master Plan process. We knew what the priorities were when it came from the community. We knew some of the gaps that we have. And to be able to take a group of 9 folks, 9 individuals, and go through that plan and then come up with all these things too was just really, really interesting, because it's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of things that interest a lot of different folks. And so I just appreciate y'all bringing up a lot of these issues. Some of them range from stream bank stabilization to the cross-country course to just athletic fields. Updating some of our restrooms in our parks, having a maintenance plan, and, addition to street dances, looking at community center soccer fields. And so those things, every topic went from policies to actual, near-term improvements or even midterm improvements. So a lot of really great conversations, a lot of really good comments that were made. But ultimately, what we ended up with were the top 5. Okay, I don't know why it's freaking out on me, sorry. Were the top 5 for the commission. So what we were able to capture was park security. I know it's a very broad statement, but it's something that we'll continue to work on, again, with the projects that we have, lighting, and making sure that we have adequate parking. Parkland ordinance and a park ordinance updates just across the board. That's something that we're currently looking at right now, even just related to our fee schedule, which once we get that all wrapped up, we'll be presenting that to you as well. Near-term park improvements, I know that was something that the commission had talked about, making sure that we invest in basically all of the low-hanging fruit that we have in the parks and making sure that we get that knocked out. And then our conditions assessment, y'all had mentioned that we don't know what we have to fix if we don't have a conditions assessment. And you also wanted me to provide you with some information when it came to the budget and some of the projects that we were going to be looking at. So I'll definitely be getting that out to y'all here over the next couple of weeks. And then gaps, connectivity, and access. I know that was another comment that was made, just in general about trail connectivity, about hike and bike trails, about connecting parks, and just the linear parkways that we have. So if I captured those correctly, those are the top 5 from the commission. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Awesome.
I like the gaps, connectivity, and access. That was the one that we kind of struggled on.
Did struggle on that, but I like it too. I was going to say the same thing. I think that picks up a lot of very, very narrow points that are addressed, in bullet points in that plan document. But I think you've arranged them in a way that's useful and I think it kind of captures it. At least seems to from my perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody had so many great ideas out of the thing, and you could see, I appreciate everybody's energy in all of the great things that Victoria Parks have to offer, but you kind of got to remember bandwidth, and I think that those 5 things pretty well wrap up, what we can do and get the most bang for our buck out of. I'm excited about the park ordinance and finding out about that. I think that that's something that will be great for the future of Victoria.
Absolutely. So, awesome. And a lot of this stuff we're going to be working on, and some of them we've already have conversations going on with a good chunk of these. And so look forward to continuing to provide you updates. So with that, it's the last slide, just kind of give you a quick rundown of what our hope is. So we have budget meetings with the city manager's office actually this week to go over some of the projects and some of the budget items that we had discussed with you during the workshop. If you can remember, there's a couple large ones in there, playground replacement for Children's Park and Brownson Park, I believe, and then some software updates for our recreation department. So we'll have conversations with CMO this week, and we'll let you know how that goes during next monthly meeting. And then, as I mentioned, every quarter we want to provide you some kind of an update on these top priorities, your top priorities, and where you want us to focus. So we'll be providing you an update in June, September, and December, just to give you an idea of where we're at with some of these items. And yeah, if there's any guidance or any direction that needs to change, we can do so at that time. And then what I wanted to present to you is really would like to have a yearly workshop with the commission. I thought that it was a really great exercise. I don't know about y'all, but I know December gets a little crazy, but December and January would probably be best for us. February is the time when we have to turn in our budget. So I want to make sure that we have this conversation prior to our budget, not like we did this year. But December or January, I don't need any confirmation, just a head nods. Okay, but is December, January-ish sound decent for everybody for a workshop, some type of a workshop?
Sure.
Yeah,
Does it interfere with your, with the amateur athletic thing?
I'm sure it does, but we'll work around that. That's not a
TAF
problem.
Winter Games.
That's what it is.
Yeah, and Christmas and all that other fun stuff, right? But no, the goal again, just really, I really want to. I thought it was great. I thought we had a lot of good conversation, and yeah, I just want to continue those conversations every year if that's okay with the commission.
I think so.
Perfect.
What was the name of that game we played?
Kahoot.
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 I'm ready to do that again. Thank you, Jason.
Gotcha. Absolutely. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Next on the agenda, the Riverside Stadium 75th anniversary.
Kimberly's going to take this one on, but 75th is going to be happening next month. And so Kimberly's here to talk to you all about it.
Good evening, Commission. How are y'all
Hi,
doing?
Kimberly.
Hi, Kimberly.
Hello. So like Jason said, Riverside Stadium's 75th anniversary is next month. So May 9th in 1947 hosted its first game at the Rosebud Stadium. And so we are hosting a 1.5 day event. It's a Friday night into a Saturday. We're going to have like an opening ceremony and a dedication to the park or to the stadium, a home run derby, a showcase with Little League and VGSA, the Victoria Girls Softball Association. We'll have stadium tours, memorabilia. Hopefully, will be donated so we can have you know, Riverside Stadium throughout the years. And then we'll also have all kinds of fun contests out at Low Field, like wiffle ball, home run derby, and dizzy bat first base sprint, things like that, along with bounce houses and maybe a dunking booth. And then we'll have a celebrity softball game with different celebrities around Victoria, and then we will finish it off with a concert in the park.
Wow. That
Oh,
sounds
that's
great.
cute.
That's the goal.
I like the shirt.
Yes, so that is our latest and greatest draft for our logo. It has not been approved yet. We just received that today, so we're still working on that. What are y'all's thoughts? I would love to hear your
I think it
thoughts
looks
on it
great.
too.
I'd buy it. Great. I'd wear it. I'd buy it.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
It's clean. I like it.
Yes.
Great job.
We'll be doing lots of giveaways. We'll have those shirts. So we'll be giving them, to our supporters and our staff, any volunteers, and then they'll also be for sale at it. So we could definitely use some volunteers for the night of the event, and then on Saturday as well to help with, home run derby, catching fly balls, or things that don't make it out of the park.
And
then-
what's the date again?
So we are looking at May 20th and 21st.
Okay.
What kind of home run derby? Like, is it little league, adult softball?
So it'll be adult softball.
Okay.
So 10 pitches, bring your own pitcher. We will have a men's league and a women's league
Cool.
I have one
divisions.
comment on your logo. You
Yes.
might want to put the city and state.
City
It
and
doesn't
state
say
on there.
Victoria, Texas anywhere on there.
It has the Victoria, Texas logo down at the bottom, but
I know,
yeah.
I
not
know, but
Vic-
if
not
you're
Victoria.
if you're in New York City, you're not gonna know where you're. Just saying.
So I'd like that actually to go on the back of it and have Riverside Stadium established 1947 on the front. So we can definitely look at adding Victoria, Texas on here as well. For sure.
One of the things that we had, we were originally, it was a little difficult to try to find a good weekend. We had originally intended it to be the first weekend of May, and then that Cinco de Mayo weekend, as well as Mother's Day weekend. That second weekend in May could potentially be state playoffs for high school. And so we're kind of landing on that third one at this point, but the date has been kicked around a few times.
Yes. Yeah, East High School will be going to playoffs this year, so very exciting for them. So we do want them to have the opportunity to have home field option. Advantage. I don't know, is it an advantage? I don't know if that's the right, yeah.
Very good. Thank you, Kimberly. Appreciate it. Okay, department updates. Jason? Is it-
Awesome. All right. Well, yeah. So we'll go right into this. Parks, we'll talk about rec, golf course, community center, and then sports tourism and the department projects that we have. So first off is Parks and Rec, and I'm going to pass the mic again back over to Kimberly.
Hello. So March and this first part of April has been really awesome for our Parks division. So they were able to focus a lot on MLK Park, De Leon Plaza, and Hopkins Park to get it pressure washed, cleaned, and updated for the community, get it all sparkling like we got to do Children's Park. We have the opportunity, we had a huge shipment of roses come in, so our team planted 170 rose bushes in the rose garden the last couple weeks. It was a great team project for all of them. And we've also been able to focus a lot on training. So we had some ball field training out at the youth sports complex. So where the dirt and the clay and the grass meet, we've been focusing on that area, the lips of it, as well as getting some of our park maintenance workers that typically focus on mowing or general maintenance. They've been going over there and cross-training, so we have more opportunities for staffing to work with ball fields because it gets to be a very busy time of year. They work 7 days a week with tournaments and leagues. So it's been really great. And then last week, our crew leaders, park supervisor, superintendent, myself attended the Mid-Coast Hurricane and Disaster Conference at the Community Center. So everyone within our region, like our departments, fire, medics, paramedics, law enforcement, different state and city and county agencies come together, and we get to kind of learn about emergency preparedness, different ways to make sure that we have resources and trainings that we need for hurricanes, natural disasters, anything like that.
Where did the roses come from?
A Rose Center. I'm not sure.
Gorgeous.
I know it was a big thing.
They're gorgeous. They look beautiful. Have
Yeah.
you seen them?
No.
Oh my goodness, they're so, so pretty. I've never
Yeah.
seen them be so pretty. I mean, they're gorgeous right now. I've been taking pictures. They do that Keep Victoria Beautiful.
Yeah.
And I was like, can I nominate the Parks and Rec Department? I mean, it's a city, but like, they should be because they're gorgeous.
That's
I mean,
great.
Really,
Okay.
The
really
nursery
pretty.
in California.
Okay, but
according to our
and did we
professionals.
acquire them to put there, or did, okay, all right. I didn't know if somebody donated them or anything, or something like that, or, okay.
No, we do have it built into our budget to buy more rose bushes each year to plant them.
Okay.
Anything that gets lost in the winter or anything like that.
Yeah, okay, well, good.
All the prom people were over there taking pictures this weekend.
Oh,
I
is that
mean,
right?
Yes. I mean, party buses bringing in prom people to take pictures. I've never seen the parking lot so full, but it
That's
was
great.
gorgeous. So they're loved. Y'all did a good
Good.
job. Very good job.
So recreation, we've had a lot going on in recreation in the last month and a half. So we've got to do some great partnerships. So we helped out with the Southside Coalition's Take a Break event in March, as well as working with the Museum of the Coastal Bend, offering activities each day of spring break. Worked with the Kiwanis Club during their Kids Fest. Partnered with Town Square Media for the Easter egg hunt that we had yesterday. If you all did not see it on social media, it was awesome and it was nuts. There's a lot of kids out there. We had foam. The wind was blowing the foam everywhere. It was really neat, over extremely quickly. The kids had a great time. And then we have Earth Day happening in a couple of weeks. We're partnering with Keep Victoria Beautiful and our Conventions and Visitors Bureau. The back deck of the Hiller House has a bird exhibit on it, and so it's kind of the grand opening for that as well. So come on out on the 23rd. Some programs, so we launched Senior Bunko in March. We've continued with Toddlers on the Trail. We'll be doing trivia night, and then as always, our camp out and movie night. And then events, we are doing a Tax Day 5K. We're doing a Teen Glow party, our Cinco de Mayo street dance, and then our 75th anniversary. And then our spring leagues that we have are cornhole, kickball, and softball.
Awesome. Thank you. Cool. Thank you, Kimberly.
Thanks, Kimberly.
Okay, so we'll go right into the golf course division. This is just a quick breakdown of the month. And so the end of the month, we total revenues that we're able to get was $126,904. Some of the tournament rounds we had, the uptick in tournament rounds and practice rounds and compared to last month. And then a few important dates that we have in here is that for the remainder of this month and the first part of May. May starts to get really busy, and as you would assume, just it being the kind of growing season, everybody out and about. So for the most part, golf course is doing fairly well. This next slide that I have for you is a quick snapshot of the golf course division over the last 6 months. Just a quick look at it. In October, you could see it was pretty low. That had to primarily do with the fact that we closed down the golf course for about a week and a half due to the flooding that we had in Riverside Park. And then in January, we had, that's typically when we have our memberships, but we had a delay in our memberships due to some GPS that we were trying to get figured out. And so we didn't really see the revenue, if you will, in January like we typically would, but you can see in February, we kind of made up for that January, and that was part of those memberships. And then again in March, we did fairly well. So total, we're at a little under $620,000 in revenue for the total for this year. Again, that's a 6-month mark. That's pretty good. I mean, last year we hit about 1.25 million in revenues. We'll be on track to. Our goal is to be on track for that again this year. If you just look at it, you just think, okay, 618 times 2, we should be good to go, right? But we also have weather to worry about. One thing that we did not have last year that we have this year is the 20 additional golf carts. So we received those 20 additional golf carts to increase our fleet from 50 to 70, and we have not had a full summer with those golf carts in play yet. So we look forward to seeing some additional revenues in the golf course and, from those 20 golf carts. One thing that we have been talking about for a little while is the GPS. GPS should be installed by the end of next month. And so we don't have a hard date on when those are going to be installed, but we do know that they should be here within the next 2 to 3 weeks. So we'll have GPS in our golf carts, and so we won't have golf carts down at Pebble Beach, and we won't have golf carts on the greens. So it's a plus for the parks and the golf course. Any questions on the golf course? Okay. Community center, this one's fairly quick. I just always like to give you stats on rentals or city rentals versus non-city rentals. We had 12 city rentals for last month, and then 7 non-city rentals. The non-city rentals include weddings and special events, quinceañeras, those kinds of things. And then city functions would include anything obviously related to the city. Some of the things that we have been talking to you about over the last handful of months is utilizing the community center a little bit more for recreation programs and leagues. And so out of those 12 rentals, you can see that the department held 5 programs or leagues from those 12. And so just to kind of give you an idea of what we're trying to increase over there at the community center, just with programs and leisure activities Monday through Thursday, really. Any questions on community center? Okay. Sports tourism and department. So sports tourism's starting to be a big thing. We have wasn't able to bring Michelle with us today, but Michelle Myers is our sports tourism manager. She just started 2 weeks ago, and so she's fresh to the sports tourism world with Victoria, but she is not new to marketing, and that's where her background lies. So she has 20 plus years of experience in marketing, looking at having her really market Victoria really well for us when it comes to sports and sports tourism. She is from Refugio, and so she's fairly local. She has some kids, and they're all into sports as well. I tell you, we had a meeting with one of the event coordinators, if you will, and I think him and Michelle talked about sports for like 30 minutes. And so I was 86 out of that conversation. I just walked away and went to my office. So nonetheless, she's super excited about bringing any kind of sports here to the Victoria area. One thing that with the sports tourism is obviously it's going to work closely with our CVB. And so CVB and Parks and Rec has been able to put a large list together of all the sporting events that we have throughout the city. Michelle will be focusing on these events. This is just a snapshot. This thing is like super, super long. But this is just a snapshot of some of the sporting events that are going to be happening here within Victoria. The goal for her is to reach out to these individuals and these coordinators, basically roll out the red carpet for them, and make sure that they have a memorable, great experience here in Victoria and want to come back and host the event again. So another thing that she's working on is obviously, making sure that we get those, tournaments in and everything's rocking and rolling, but what about things to come? And so one of the software systems that we have purchased a membership with is called the Sports Tourism Index. There's a slew of sporting events and tournaments that are on this index. This is, again, just a quick snapshot for you to take a look at. But these are the kinds of things that we'll be looking at. Some random stuff, Tough Mudder, anything that we can have over at the airport, anything that we can have over at the baseball fields and softball fields along the river, where there is really, nothing is going to hold us back. I mean, our imagination is wide open. Because of that, we don't just want to start randomly putting out, bids on all of these things. So we're connecting Michelle with all of the athletic directors and athletic superintendents, making sure that she has the connections with, people at the airport and those kinds of things, to gather the detailed information for the facilities to be able to find what sporting events would be best for our area. And so those are the things that she'll be working on now and kind of into the future. As you can see, a lot of these are a year, 2 year, maybe even 3 years out. And so the things that she'll be working on this year, we won't see until next year or even the year afterwards. But I just wanted to give you a quick rundown of what she'll be doing over the course of the next couple of months, and really just trying to focus in on some of these sports tourism events.
I have noticed during some of those sporting events at the Little League fields, the parking has been a problem. There's actually no parking if somebody's going to the park or going to the skate park. It gets completely filled up whenever they have those tournaments. Or just on the days that they have league, if you go out there, the parking is all the way filled up where the skate park is.
Okay.
So that might be something
So you're
to look into.
just in the leagues themselves and not necessarily in the tournaments?
Yeah, the leagues themselves, you can go out
Okay.
during the leagues and it's completely full.
Okay.
So if somebody's just going to enjoy the park or the skate park, there isn't no parking and perhaps not adequate parking for the league itself.
Okay.
Right. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Have any of y'all seen it?
Years, it's been like that for years, Jason.
Oh, okay.
We'll see, and that's part of it, like you said, I mean, does the facility, does it have adequate space for all of those things, and that's something that she'll be looking at. And I mean, if it's, 5,000 people in a one-day event and that's the only location, then we know it's probably not going to work for us. So we're going to have to find some kind of alternative parking. But I appreciate that comment. We'll look into that and see what we can do. Cool. Any other questions or comments on the sports tourism side? No. Okay. Well, I'll quickly run through the department projects and give you a quick update. So the soccer fields, we are continuing to work with the contractor, Fielder's Choice, for that last field. Having a little hurdles with him, but we're trying to get that one accomplished and finished before the end of summer. The duck pond is continuing to move forward. We pushed back the bid opening by 2 weeks, just from some of the comments that were made from the contractors as far as questions were concerned. So our bid opening is going to be on April the 20th for that project. Let's see. Sorry, I need to change that yellow. It's even worse up here. Dog park. Dog park. I gave you an update on that one. Any questions, just let me know. And then the golf course restrooms. As part of the facility improvements, we are going to upgrade the on-course restrooms at the golf course. I believe there's 2 of them out there that will have renovated here within the next couple of weeks. They'll start on it. So I think the project's supposed to last about a month. All right, and then the last handful that we have, community center HVAC system, that is actually going very well. So our chillers, which would be the AC, if you will, that's going to be in the dome, we opened up contracts for that, or bids for that, and we've selected a contractor. We'll be presenting a contract to City Council here in May. Here at the next meeting. And so we'll have that, and those chillers I think the longest lead time on in the chillers is the chillers themselves. So I think it's a 15-week order time. The whole project should only take like 2 weeks. So 15 weeks just to get the chillers in from order. So that's what's going to be the longest part of that. The flip side of that is the heater system for the dome. We're still working with M&S on that one. And we do have some money allocated in this upcoming budget for the heaters to be replaced in the dome. So all that's continuing to move forward. No, the chillers, majority of them are. We have on and off, and that's it.
Is that gonna impact rentals for summer?
No, sir. That project they're going to work around all of those. We've already talked with them. They're going to really push Monday through Fridays. We were looking at having some temporary AC for the moment, but just because of the amount of time that it's going to take the project, that week and a half, 2 weeks, it wasn't worth the cost. So if there is anything, it may be one rental that we may have to address.
I just didn't know it's getting hot, so I didn't know if it
Yeah.
would start impacting.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's the project will probably be done right at the end of summer, so we'll be, or getting towards the end of summer, but we'll be ready to go for the remainder of the year and even next year. Riverside Stadium improvements, those are going really well. Of course, we've already completed the parking lots, but we also upgraded the visitors' locker room. It looks completely different. It looks really great. And all of the restrooms as well have been refurbished. So all of the fixtures in there have been cleaned. All of there's been new paint, there's been new flooring, all of that. So it looks really well. It's going to be really sharp looking for the 75th. We did have some pressure washing that was completed, the nets in a couple areas that were completed by a contractor, and we have some painting and fence work that's going to be happening over the next couple of weeks, and again, in preparation for the 75th.
Jason, on that
Yes, sir.
Riverside Stadium,
Uh-huh.
have y'all checked the seats? I know that was at the ball game the other day, and you know how the young kids are, they try to cross over and stepped onto one of the seats and collapsed on them.
Uh-oh.
Luckily, he didn't get hurt and fell down and hurt himself. I know that right there in the front row, right behind home plate.
Okay.
That's where he stepped on and.
We will definitely take a look at that.
Jason, also, I saw
Yes, sir.
the generals are refurbishing the party deck for the base.
Yes, sir.
Is the Parks Department participating in that at all? Or is that just the generals on their own?
Do you happen to know that?
They're looking for volunteers to.
I believe that's just the generals, but Kimberly can correct me if I'm wrong.
It is, so it's the General's Party Deck, so that was one of the features that they added on to the stadium, and so.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, we'll look at the seating, Commissioner. Let's see. Yeah, and then we have a facilities assessment that we're looking at for all of the park and recreation facilities. This was something I believe we mentioned in the commission meeting, and that's funding that we have allocated for this upcoming fiscal year in October of 2022-23. Again, that's a facilities assessment that'll be specifically for parks and recreation facilities. Some of the other projects that we're working on, continuing to work with the Victoria Main Street program to upgrade the De Leon Plaza. I know they're the ones spearheading that, but since it does impact the park, we are involved with that project. And then the Green Ribbon Project, that's the project that's happening, the beautification project happening on the highway or along the loop. We're working with environmental services on that. We've been involved with that since day one. And they're going really, I mean, they're moving along really well. They should be completed sometime in May. Last time that I stopped by, they were planting about 100 trees a day at that site. So they're definitely rocking and rolling on the Green Ribbon Project. So a lot of great things happening.
Jason,
Yes, sir.
the green ribbon, is it this, you said this is along the right of way for the loop on the north side of town primarily, or?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's so the Green Ribbon Project, it deals with attainment, but more particularly, just a beautification project with TxDOT that we were able to tap into. And it is basically from Navarro up to, is it Sam Houston? I think it was John Stockbauer, that next one,
Yeah.
on both sides of the loop. And so
Okay.
what they're doing is planting trees in clusters, if you will. And then in some of those major intersections, they'll have entry signs are kind of like the gateway signs. They'll have some stone and they'll have a nice planter bed, very similar to what the current planter beds look like. A lot of flowers, a lot of color, a lot of pop. So it's really beautifying both, I guess it would be the east and west side of 463.
Jason, going back to the DeLeon Plaza,
Yes, sir.
has the DeLeon family gotten back with you? I know that at one of the commission's meetings, Blanche De Leon made a presentation that she wanted a certain area of the DeLeon Plaza set aside for a statue of Martin De Leon. And that's the last time we've heard from her. I don't know who was in the council at that time.
Long time ago.
That was a long time ago, yes. I think you were the only ones.
I remember it. I
Yes,
remember that.
she came and made a presentation, and the council agreed to go ahead and make the presentation to the city council to allow her to, her family, the project to build a statue of Martin de Leon.
So to build a statue, to
So I don't know
erect a
if
statue?
she's ever followed through, or she's gonna still do it.
Okay.
Because I know that you said you're gonna redevelopment of the Dayton Plaza, and the redevelopment might take part of the project, the piece of land that you gave to her, so.
And Commissioner, I apologize. What was her name?
Blanche de Leon.
Blanche. Okay. I have not been in communication, but I'll follow up with Main Street
If you
and,
need,
and,
I think I got her number still.
okay, that'd be great. That'd be great. Awesome. That's all I have for projects, unless anybody has any questions or comments.
Jason, any
Yes, sir.
update on the splash pads? I think we're down to like one working splash pad now.
Yeah. Kimberly.
Yes, so when we were opening the splash pads for the season, the motor, the seal that goes around the motor at Airline, there is a really large leak in it. So they're working now with Premier Pools, one of the local pool places, to get that seal repaired. Every time they fix something, something else breaks. So they are continuing with that. With Community Center Park Splash Pad, we are getting updated quotes. We do have money in the budget. We just need an updated quote to be able to create that contract to get that community center fixed.
And
That splash pad fixed.
is Ethel Tracy open now?
So Ethel Tracy is open. There are some of the features do have leaks in them and are not fully turned on yet, but we don't want to close that one down as well. So we're working on getting that one 100% running as well.
But they're gonna redo that one, right? Eventually, when they redo the park at Ethel Lee? Or is that one gonna stay?
I don't want to misspeak. I think that's going to stay, could potentially be expanded, though, I think is
Okay,
what it showed in that master plan, but I could be wrong, though.
All right, cool.
We got
I don't remember a replacement.
All right.
part of one working.
Right. Yeah, and that's part of what Kimberly and I have talked about is just getting on a better maintenance plan. And we've talked with the commission about this before. Unfortunately, it's that time for us to be able to put it in the budget for October. But it's a lot of it is maintenance. It's even, removing some of that putty in between the cracks and resealing that. We have a lot of issues with that. That's probably what caused our issue over at the community center. But yes, just trying to be more intentional on the maintenance aspect of all of our parks, but more specifically the splash pad. You deal with chemicals in the sun and everything else, so it takes a beating. Yeah, and Ethel Lee Tracy, I think there was, what was it, like $20,000 worth of repairs over there?
Something like
And
that.
then
It's about
another
$40,000.
$30,000 for the community center. And so we found the $50,000 to be able to fix those. It's just going to take some time for us to get the PO and everything in place.
Gotcha.
It's kind of where we're at. That was the biggest piece, is finding that money, and we found the $50,000. Don't ask me where, but we found it.
Well, that's good. You're gonna have a maintenance plan moving forward, because I know they're like, cars that you have sitting there. You have to run them even when you're not gonna use them.
Exactly right.
And that way you can continue to expose whatever might be wrong even in the off-season.
Yes, sir. Agreed.
Is there a season for splash pads? They turn on and turn off at, just curious, the dates?
We started the first weekend of spring break. That's determined by, I guess, the state, county, the ISD, somebody. And then we run it through the end of October.
Gotcha.
So, and that was one of the changes that we made last year is we used to allow those private rentals, but the splash pads would close at 9. And so we no longer offer the private rentals, and we run splash pads 7 days a week from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m.
I remember. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
All right, thank you, guys. Mike, I was gonna ask about future agenda items, and Mike, you mentioned something about the 361 project?
Yeah, the 361 project, how's that coming along?
That's a good question. The last conversation that we had with Honor 361 was actually before we started the Stay Leon project. We had met with them and the city manager about a location, because originally they had proposed Riverside, I believe Riverside Park, right outside of the Rose Garden is where they wanted to originally put the statue or the memorial. And through our conversation with them, with the city manager, we had discussed Memorial Square, utilizing that space as the Honor 361 area because of just the nature of the area. We have 98, I believe, unmarked graves over there. The downtown master plan does call for a refurbishing of that area, and we were really looking at wanting to enhance that area and put Honor 361's memorial over there. They were in agreement with it at that time, but again, that's been quite some time. So we'll have to follow up with them and see where they're at. I think their biggest concern was just knowing of a location so they can continue fundraising the last little bit of money that they needed for the statue itself.
Got a lot of projects going on, and they're sort of stalemate. They haven't come forward and say, hey, we're starting it, we're doing it, we got the money. And you mentioned the redevelopment of the Delian Plaza, and, wait a minute, we do it this beautiful, and then you're gonna put this, thing up here?
Right.
It's not fair for you, so you're gonna take all this time to make the Delian Plaza beautiful.
Yes, sir. We'll definitely follow back up with Honor 361 and see where they're at with fundraising efforts, and then just bring that conversation back up to them.
Anybody else have comments for? All right. How about future agenda items from the commission?
It's just a dog park.
I think we got that covered, so good. All right. Well, if nothing more, then that brings us to the item F, adjournment, which I think that I will declare has occurred. And I have a hammer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you.
I can go